People ask, why do good people, why do bad things happen to good people? This is a story of Joseph going through a lot of awful things, but he had to in order for the end to be good.
You have two options. You can either follow God or not. And as simple as that sounds, or black and white as that sounds, it really is just that black and white. There is no in between. You're either going with God and His will, or you're going against God.
And you would look at that and rightly so think, well, that's not fair. Joseph did nothing wrong, and he's the one in jail. He was a leader in Potiphar's house, and he was a leader in prison. God's been training him for this over these several years.
And God's not taking away anyone's choice. So He's allowing these people to see how Joseph is. So what's going on there is that Joseph is living a godly life, and that these people are recognizing it and saying, okay, we can put him in trust in this power because he's clearly following what God and these good attributes that come from him. And this is showing that you can persevere through it. You can stay strong if your faith is strong for God. It's again, it's not about what you can do. It's about what God can do through you. All right, welcome back. This is another lesson. We're going over Joseph, and he has a very interesting story because he went through a lot. He had a very rough time, and through it all, God was with him. And we're going to go into a little bit more detail about that, obviously, throughout the story. But you almost forget he is, and we're going to go into a little bit more detail about this. But this is a story that covered multiple years. And it doesn't go into everyday basis of it. But same thing with our lives, how often do we look back at the whole picture and go, oh, okay. But while we're in it, we're like, what is going on? Where are you, God?
Yeah, I think this is like, it's relatable in that, we all go through bad times. And a lot of people ask, why do good people, why do bad things happen to good people? This is a story of, Joseph going through a lot of awful things, but he had to in order for the end to be good. Right? So if you haven't figured it out, we're going to talk about Joseph and his story. The Joseph from Genesis, not Jesus' day. So
completely different time.
This is several chapters, so for the sake of time, we're not going to read every single verse. We're going to summarize some, but we're going to get into the meaty parts. So, we're going to be in Genesis chapter 37, and we're going to start verse 3, if you'd like to follow along. But, okay, verse 3. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him, and could not speak peaceably unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright, and behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him, and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same. So, a lot there. But anyway, so verse 3. Israel, he's a person.
Yes.
This is not the nation of Israel. This is the person Israel, formerly known as Jacob.
Yes.
So a lot of the next verses throughout the rest of the story, he'll be referred to as Jacob. So, anyway, Jacob has 12 sons. One of them, the youngest, is named Joseph, and he is his favorite son, and his brothers know it.
They are very jealous. Very jealous.
they hate him.
Yes.
They don't like him at all. But Joseph was given the gift of dreams by God. These 2 dreams are actually Joseph's future.
Yep.
And we'll see as the story unfolds, God gives the interpretation of dreams to Joseph so he can interpret dreams for people through God, right? But these 2 dreams are prophetic because at the end, his family is going to bow before him, and he's going to be a leader, essentially.
There's a lot of time between those 2 events, the dream and when this happens.
This is like 20 years later this is going to happen. Spoiler alert.
And we already get a foreshadowing of what the brothers are thinking here. So we already know if you didn't get the idea that they're jealous and that they are very hatred towards Joseph there. You should have picked up on it. But verse 11 there, it says, and his brother envied him, but his father observed the saying. Yeah. So you already get the heart posture of this. So Israel is like, okay, you know the history of Israel. He's had some encounters with God. So he knows, he's like, okay, if God is really telling this to Joseph, this is going to happen. Let me sit back and kind of think about this. Let me meditate on this fact. The brothers instead got jealous. They're like, why? And it goes straight back to, just a couple of chapters earlier in this book to my first thought was Cain and Abel. So So Abel, he does good. He does a good sacrifice. There's blood that was shed for the atonement. It was atonement. And Cain didn't do that. He gave fruits. So Cain, out of jealousy, saw something that was good, that was done right, and instead of correcting his behavior to fix that, he instead killed him. He killed his brother. So jealousy can destroy that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you got to stomp that out.
Yeah.
If you don't stop it, it can lead to something terrible, which it's going to. So we continue on with the story. Yep. So Joseph's brothers are out feeding their flock. Israel tells Joseph they're at Shechem, so he sends Joseph out basically to check on his brothers and report back to him, how they do it.
Yep.
So Joseph goes down to Shechem, but they're not there. Old guy tells him that they went down to Dothan, and so Joseph goes into Dothan to look for his brothers, and sees them afar off, as do they here in the next verse.
All right, and verse 18. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near to them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said one another, behold, this dreamer cometh. They're mocking him right now. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him, and cast him into some pit, and we will say, some evil beast has devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto him, shed no blood, but cast him into the pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him of their hands, deliver him to their fathers again. And it came to pass, when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. And they took him, and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes, and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead, with their camels bearing spicery, and balm, and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Judah said to his brethren, what profit is if we slay our brother, and conceal his blood? Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content. Then they passed by Midianites merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they bought Joseph into Egypt. So, one, they start out with, let's kill him out of jealousy. It's, again, same thing as Cain and Abel there. First instance is, let's get rid of that entirely. But then Reuben speaks up. So say, hey, let's not kill him. Let's just leave him in the pit. The blood won't be on our hands.
He's our brother. Let's not kill this guy.
Which is still torture in your own family there. So again, it's just showing trying to justify sin. And then finally it came to where Judah, I believe, Judah saw these Ishmaelites pass by, and he goes, hey, what is the profit if we kill him? Let's make some money off him.
Exactly.
Sell him to slavery. So again,
terrible.
From this chapter, just early on to throughout all of it, we see that they clearly envy Joseph. They're very jealous of him. They hate him because of that, because of how much attention or love he's getting from their father. And now their reaction is to extinguish the problem or get rid of the problem. And we just seen early on how the heart posture of Israel, their father, saw that Joseph was having these dreams from God and was like, okay, what's going to go on here? He's meditating on the fact he's observing it. And the brothers are almost trying to stop what God said will happen.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. It's not going to work like that. So when you in your life are going through something like this, which we're going to see how Joseph reacts, but you have two options. You can either follow God or not. And as simple as that sounds, or black and white as that sounds, it really is just that black and white. There is no in between. You're either going with God and his will, or you're going against God. And right here, they are going against God. They're trying to stop what God has already told through Joseph.
Yep.
Very dangerous territory they're getting into. Yep.
And the next chapter is about Judah and his children. It doesn't really fit with, I don't want to say fit, but it doesn't continue on with Joseph's story. Joseph's not mentioned in chapter 38. So we're going to go past it and go to chapter 39. And in chapter 39, we said Joseph is sold to this guy named Potiphar, who is a captain of the guard of the Pharaoh in Egypt. And the Lord was with Joseph, is what it says there in the beginning of 39. And he was very blessed. Pretty much everything he touched, he prospered.
Yep.
Everything he touched turned to gold. And, Joseph was put in a position to where he took care of everything at Potiphar's house. He was second only to Potiphar in his house. So, God's training him for the future.
Yep.
But, not everything is sunshine and rainbows anymore.
No, yeah.
He's
still a servant, yeah.
In verse 7, there comes a problem. So, verse 7, and it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, Lie with me. But he refused, and said unto his master's wife, Behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness, and sin against God? And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her, or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, Lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand, and fled, and got him out. And it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand, and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house, and spake unto them, saying, See, he hath brought in an Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass, when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me, and fled, and got him out. And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she spoke unto him according to these words, saying, The Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Everything's going fine for Joseph. Yep. It's actually pretty not so bad.
Yeah.
He has a lot of freedom for a slave.
Yeah.
He's in charge of a lot. And his master's wife decides that she wants to sleep with him, to cheat on her husband.
Yep.
And Joseph did the right thing. He said, No, I ain't going to do that.
Yeah, he said...
Potiphar's good to me. I ain't doing that.
Yeah, exactly. He said, he's giving me all this, and all he said is, basically that you're off limits. And he's like, I agree to those terms. I'm not breaking those terms. And the wife was persistent and persistent and persistent.
And then finally tried to force herself on him.
Yep.
And then he ran, which is the correct response.
Yeah.
But his coat was left behind. He loses a lot of coats. But anyway... she was able to manipulate her husband into thinking that Joseph did something that she actually did.
Yep.
And now he's in prison for doing the right thing.
Yep. And it kind of like, it briefly talks about it, but I mean, that was a temptation for Joseph, whether it was like something that was in front of him, or whether he even ever considered it. which I don't think he really did. I think he was just in the mindset of follow God, I'm not doing this. But same thing with, again, us in our lives. The devil wants us to turn away from God because that's his whole motive. He hates God so much that he's trying to turn everyone possibly away. It doesn't necessarily have to be pointed at him. It just has to be pointed away from God, which is why there's so much of this false religion in the world.
When everything's going good, there's usually one of those around the corner. So just look out. But
the devil was persistent in saying, hey, look, you can get away with this. Just do it. You can get away with this. No one would know. The wife was so persistent in the fact. And obviously the wife wouldn't want to admit to that. So I'm sure she was going along with it. Just like, hey, if we do this, I'm not going to tell no one. Just do it. And Joseph still was like, no, no, no.
And you would look at that and rightly so think, well, that's not fair. Joseph did nothing wrong. And he's the one in jail, right? But as we'll learn, there's a reason why he's in jail. God wants him in that jail. And
we see that in verse 21, finishing this chapter. But the Lord was with Joseph and shewed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him. That was which he did. The Lord made it to prosper. So it's funny that Joseph keeps getting in these positions of
leadership.
Yeah. And
even in the prison.
Yeah. And God's not taking away anyone's choice. So he's allowing these people to see how Joseph is. Mm-hmm. So what's going on there is that Joseph is living a godly life, and that these people are recognizing it and saying, okay, we can put him in trust in this power because he's clearly following what God and these good attributes that come from him. So again, relate to our lives, we can't just do half of it. I mean, we did the breakdown of Judges, which will be coming out in a couple weeks from now, but July 1st. But imagine Samson in this position. They would not trust him very long at all. Samson clearly showed he was not living a godly life. So Joseph stood out from that. So you can't just expect God to deliver you out of this stuff if you're not putting feet behind the prayers, or you're not showing your faith, you're not living like God wants you to. God was with him through the hard times, and it says, that throughout Lord was with Joseph, yeah. But you still got to match that relationship. You can't just expect your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, your husband or your boyfriend to just be there for you and you not ever show love to them, or you not ever be there for them. It's got to be mutual. So Joseph is holding to his end of the relationship. He's trying to, at least. He's clinging to God. So that's one of the first steps is when you draw nigh to God, he'll draw nigh to you. So you got to stay close to God. And that's what Joseph is doing here. It's not that God abandoned him, and Joseph clearly believes that through these horrible times. So you got to realize that too. God has not abandoned you. It's simply a build up to what is to come.
There's a bigger picture.
Yes.
So while he's in prison, Joseph met a butler and a baker, and they had dreams. And God gave Joseph the interpretation of those two dreams. The butler was going to get released from prison and put back as a servant under Pharaoh. The baker was executed, and all that. Joseph asked a favor for the butler to basically go before the Pharaoh and plead his case because he was in jail.
Yeah, wrongly.
Yeah, wrongly. He wasn't supposed to be there. So he asked the butler to speak to Pharaoh for him, but the baker forgot. Anyway, so we'll move on to
verse 40.
That's what happened in chapter 40. So in chapter 41, we'll go to verse 14. Oh, and I forgot. Pharaoh had this two dreams that he couldn't get anybody to interpret. So that's when the butler remembered, hey, I got a buddy who can interpret dreams. So he told the Pharaoh, I have a friend named Joseph. He can interpret your dream. So the Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and that's where we start. Chapter 41, verse 14. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And he shaved himself and changed his raiment and came in unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me, God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, In my dream, behold, I stood upon the banks of the river, and behold, there came up out of the river 7 kine. Kine are cattle. That's what they used to call cattle. I know it's weird. Fat-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them, poor and very ill-favored, and lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt, for badness. And the lean and the ill-favored kine did eat up the first 7 fat kine, and when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them. But they were still ill-favored as at the beginning. So I awoke. And I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up in one stalk, full and good. And behold, 7 ears withered, thin, and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them. And the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears, and I told this unto the magicians, and there was none that could declare it to me. Some weird dreams.
Yeah.
Dude needs to lay off the cheese before bed. Yeah. But no, these 2 dreams, he dreamed 7 cows,
Yep.
real fat, healthy cows that you would slaughter and eat, came up out of the river, and then these 7 skinny cows came and ate them. And then you have 7 good ears of corn being eaten by 7 bad ears of corn.
He's
So,
like, what does this mean?
He told it to his magicians, but they don't know.
Yeah, clearly. They're like, what?
They could just they make cards disappear. That's all they do.
Yeah.
They don't know dreams.
And I like how Joseph answered in verse 16. He said, it's not in me. So
Yeah.
Joseph himself could do it, but God, through Joseph, would be able to.
He didn't take credit for it, right?
Yeah.
He knew where that gift came from. But God can tell me what the interpretation is.
Yeah, he was confident in it too. Like looking back on it when we were about to describe it here in a second what the dream was. But looking back at it, you're like, oh yeah. But clearly it's not because we just came up with that on our own.
No,
it's because God has told us in his word.
Yeah.
You would not be able to guess how this is a prophecy of 7 years, and you're not going to guess that.
No, the first time I heard that was weird.
All right, but let's hear the interpretation of the dream. Verse 25. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. God has shewed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kine are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kine that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he sheweth up unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine. And all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine, following, for it shall be very grievous. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man, discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. And let them gather the food of all those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And that food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall not be in the land of Egypt. The land perish not through the famine. Okay, so he's like, hey, this is going to happen. You're going to have good years of where you can grow stuff, and then you're going to have a big famine. Yeah. So you need to start preparing now. You need to lock in, if you will. You need to be ready for it. And he's saying, hey, set someone up over this. Have officers under you. You need to set up an establishment so that we can survive through this. And as we'll see here in a minute, there's clearly one man for the job here. Who better than, if God told this to Joseph, why not put Joseph in charge? He clearly has a relationship with God. He knows what's going on here. So again, this didn't just happen because it could have, but God didn't just choose Joseph. Joseph showed how God was choosing him. He was living his life like it. Mm-hmm. So again, Pharaoh, he would have never got to this point if he had not been a Christian, if you will, before going to prison and then while in prison. Mm-hmm. You hear these stories. I think of Ken Hovind. He went to prison, and I'm sure there's plenty of other people. There's plenty of stories of people going to prison that are Christians, whether it's in this country or other countries, that had no right to be there. They were innocent. It
happens every day.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And through it all, God can use them. Ken Hovind helped lead people to the Lord while in prison. He helped start some of his projects that he has currently still going.
All the apostles were.
They were in prison, yeah. So it's not about how you feel during that.
Yeah.
It's about what God can do through you while you are in that boat. Imagine if, I don't know, for whatever reason, there was no one there that was saved at that prison. Well, then how's the gospel going to get there? Well, now you have someone on the inside that can tell them about the gospel. Same thing with you. What about your job? Where do you work? Is someone a Christian there? Are they going out and telling people at your job? I don't know.
You know, wherever you're at,
Yeah.
God wants you there.
Yes, there's a purpose behind
I
it.
know that can be hard to hear
Yeah.
sometimes, but you know, God wanted Joseph in prison for this, because if he's not in prison, then the butler doesn't hear about him,
Never met him.
and you know he doesn't go before Pharaoh and interpret Pharaoh's dream.
Yeah.
You know, God wants you where you're at, and He's not going to move you until He's done with
Yeah.
you and your job there. So I know that can be tough to hear sometimes,
Oh, yeah.
depending on where you're at, but that's just how it is.
Yeah. If you go back through the other lessons we have done, videos before this, there's a theme kind of built around it. You have purpose, then feeling unworthy for the purpose,
Yeah.
and then failing the purpose and being like, okay, what do I do now? Getting back up. And this is showing that you can persevere through it.
Yeah.
You can stay strong if your faith is strong for God. It's not about what you can do. It's about what God can do through you. I believe you say that a lot.
I do.
Yeah. And it's just showing that, you know, it's never up to us. It's never what we can do, because if it's up to us, we're going to fail every time.
That's what Joseph told the Pharaoh.
Yeah. It's not me. It's God through me.
Speaking of Pharaoh, let's see what he thinks about all of it. Verse 37, and the thing was good in the eyes of the Pharaoh and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as God hath showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried before him, bow the knee, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zephnath-Paneah, and he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, priest of On, and Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. So, Pharaoh says, good idea. How about you?
Yep. You'll do this. Perfect.
And, you know, Joseph goes from a prisoner to number 2 guy in the whole entire land.
Yeah, real quick there. Yeah,
And,
literally.
you know, what he says goes unless the Pharaoh overrules him, which he won't. But that's a lot of power has been given him.
Yeah.
And you'll see, you know, he was a leader in Potiphar's house, and he was a leader in prison. God's been training him for this over these several years. So this isn't...
It's almost like a resume, if you will.
This is just out of the blue. I mean, God's been training him to do this.
Yep.
Right. So move over to in verse chapter 42. So the famine is not. So they have the 7 years of plenty in Egypt, and then the famine hits, which they forget about the good times because the famine is so horrible.
Yeah.
And you know, the famine's not just contained to Egypt. It's the whole entire, it says in one verse, it's the whole entire earth.
Yeah, it's
So-
spreading way beyond the borders.
Yeah. So Joseph's family back in Canaan, they're affected. They don't have any food. So you'll see Israel, or Jacob, sends Joseph's 10 brothers, minus Benjamin, to come get food. And that's where we find them in verse 7, I think.
Chapter 42, verse 7, and it says, And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange to them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, "Whence come ye?" And they said, "From the land of Canaan to buy some food." So he recognizes his brothers, but he's acting ignorant of the fact.
Yeah.
And Joseph knew his brothers, but they knew not him. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he had dreamed of them, and said to them, "Ye are spies to see the nakedness of the land, ye are come." And they said unto him, "Nay, my lord, but to buy food are thy servants come. We are all one man's son. We are true men. Thy servants are no spies." And he said unto them, "Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come." And they said, "The servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is not." The one is not is Joseph there. And Joseph said unto them, "That is it that I spake unto you, saying, Ye are spies. Hereby ye shall be proved. By the life of Pharaoh ye shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come hither. Send one of you, and let him fetch your brother, and ye shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether it be any true in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh, surely ye are spies." And he put them all together into ward 3 days. Okay, a lot just happened there. The brothers come forward to get food. Joseph recognizes them. They don't recognize Joseph. Again, this is years in the making to leading up to this point.
It's been about 20 or so
Yeah.
years. So
Imagine he's got a beard.
he
or
was like a
something,
boy.
Yeah.
They were men,
Yeah.
but he was a boy when they sold him into slavery. Now he's a grown man who looks like an Egyptian because he's dressed like one.
Yeah.
Because he basically is one. But he doesn't want them to know that he is Joseph because he doesn't know if his brothers have changed or not. Because these dudes are bad dudes. They've killed entire cities worth of men. So he doesn't want to be like, he doesn't want them to be like, "Oh, it's Joseph, kill him,"
Yeah.
you know. So he's, stand back a little bit.
I'd say this is the one kind of instance we see Joseph in his story, and he kind of puts vengeance in his own hands. This is kind of where he falls in the...
He is having fun with them,
Yeah.
but he really wants to see his youngest brother.
Yes.
Because that brother was born after he got sold into slavery, but probably not a great way to go about.
Yeah. He put it in his own hands a little bit here. But again, ultimately this is what will fulfill his dream. His brothers will bow before him, and his father and mother and whole family.
And it's funny, that's the first thing he thinks of when he sees him.
Yeah. I'm going to tell us a little bit. Yeah.
Seems familiar. Anyway, but we'll continue on. In verse 18, "And Joseph said unto them the third day, This do and live, for I fear God. If ye be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye, carry corn for the famine of your houses. But bring your youngest brother unto me, so shall your words be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so. And they said one to another, We are very guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul, where he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is this distress come upon us.
Yeah.
And Reuben answered them, saying, Spake I not unto you, saying, Do not sin against the child, and ye would not hear. Therefore, behold, also his blood is required. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter. And he turned himself about from them and wept, and returned to them again, and communed with them, and took from them Simon, and bound him before their eyes. Then Joseph commanded to fill their sacks with corn, and to restore every man's money into his sack, and to give them provision for the way. And thus did he unto them. And they laden their donkeys with the corn, and departed thence. And as one of them opened his sack to give his donkey provender in the end, he espied his money, for behold, it was in his sack's mouth. And he said unto his brother, My money is restored, and lo, it is even in my sack. And their heart failed them, and they were afraid, saying one to another, What is this that God hath done unto us? So,
What happened again?
so after the 3 days they spent in jail thinking about it, Joseph's like, you know what? I fear God, which would be
right
weird
response.
at this time for an Egyptian because they have multiple gods. So that should already have the radar up. But anyway, so he says, you can go, but you got to leave one of you behind. That way I have some collateral.
Yeah.
And then go, once you go, you can take the corn or whatever, but bring back your youngest brother the way I don't, you're not lying and that you're not spies. And they're, the conversation they have here is, is this because basically, this is because what we did to Joseph.
Yep.
And Reuben's like, I told you not to touch that
Don't
kid.
do that. And they're having this conversation in front of Joseph.
Yes.
In a different language.
Because,
Which I think he
they're
can't
speaking
understand.
Hebrew.
Yeah.
They think he's an Egyptian. So he pretends like he doesn't know what they're talking about because, I speak Egyptian.
Yep.
Because he's using an interpreter that he doesn't need. But it kind of touches him what Reuben said. So you see he wept there.
Yep.
But kind of shows his heart.
Yeah.
And also he gave them their money back because I guess, it's his family.
Yeah.
I'm going to provide for my family. You don't have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
But
When they see that, they're like,
cool.
uh-oh.
kind of ironic they're standing right in front of the guy they're talking about.
But
He can see they've changed a little bit, right?
Yeah. So let's continue down the story. So we're going to go to chapter 45. But
No,
in-
we're skipping 3.
Yeah.
But there's
again, just keeping the theme of Joseph when he's going on here.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So when Judah returned with Benjamin, this is what happened between that. Judah returned with Benjamin. Joseph framed Benjamin to see if his brothers had truly changed. So he's kind of setting up, okay,
Yeah.
this has happened before. Let's see what happens now. You've clearly hated me after this, and you were fine with killing me. Let's try this scenario again and see if your guys' hearts has changed.
So the past couple chapters is Judah
Yeah.
trying to get Jacob to allow him to go back with Benjamin. But in the beginning of in 44, he framed Benjamin. Joseph did.
Yeah.
He said that he stole something from him when they actually planted it on him.
Yeah.
And he's trying to see if his brothers have changed or not. And at the end, Judah actually pleads for Benjamin and says, don't take Benjamin. You can keep me in prison. Just don't take Benjamin. And
They clearly
kinda
have
touches-
changed, yeah.
Yeah, that touches Joseph, but
Went from killing one of their brothers to now saying, take me instead of my brother. So it's a complete shift
the
there.
one who sold him into slavery
Yeah.
won't give up his brother. So
But anyways, let's go to chapter 45, starting in verse 1. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all of them that stood by him, and he cried, cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known to his brethren. So his family's there. He starts crying. He sends everyone out except his family.
you don't want to cry for your subordinates.
As he's like the second in command. Yeah, you don't want to be doing that.
Yeah.
And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians in the house of Pharaoh heard. So he's mourning and breaking down so loudly that the entire house is hearing.
He hasn't seen his brothers. He hasn't ever
Yeah.
seen his youngest brother, and he hasn't seen his other 10 brothers in years,
Yeah,
right? So, this would be
yeah.
Heavy.
It's finally, emotions finally breaking out of him.
Yeah.
Verse 3. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph, doeth my father yet live? And his brother could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. I could imagine that too.
They're like,
You're alive and we've been talking to you this whole time? They were just in shock. Yeah.
we thought you were not. Anyway,
Yeah.
we told Dad you were dead.
Verse 4. And Joseph said unto his brethren, come near unto me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said unto them, I am Joseph, your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in that which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by great deliverance. So now it was not that you sent me hither, but God, and he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and lord of all his houses, and ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Okay, so again, the mindset here is, and the heart posture is what we need to strive for. He said, you guys didn't send me here.
Yeah.
God did.
Because most people would have just, and they're rightly afraid that he's just going to kill them because he has the power to.
Mm-hmm.
And most people would hurt him because, they kind of deserved it.
Yeah.
But he chose not to. He saw that if they hadn't done what they did, then their family would have died, and most of everybody around there would have died.
Yeah.
So God had a reason for all that to happen, and Joseph could see that.
Yeah. So this horrible thing happened, and he's not only comforting his brethren through it. He's not saying like, hey, it's done. God did this, not you guys. This was a purpose behind it. So don't put the blame on yourself. This theme.
He forgave them for what they did.
This theme is woven through Scripture. Whether it's Stephen being about to be martyred, be stoned to death, and he's like, "Forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they do," or just the crucifixion in general. Arguably, the darkest thing, like the most unjust thing to happen to the most just man, and God used it to save us.
Tortured a dude because they didn't like it.
Name anything else, anyone else, any fake God, false God that has turned such horribleness into straight goodness. It's impossible. Only God can do it. Only the true God can do it.
And in Genesis 50, verse 20, I like what Joseph says, because this is right after his dad died, and his brothers were scared that he was going to kill him since their dad's dead. But he said, "But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive." So again, he's just like, you wanted to do evil to me, and you did. You wanted to kill me, and then you made money off of me. But God used that for good and saved a lot of people.
Oh yeah, arguably saved most of the world right then.
Yeah,
they would not have been prepared for that.
It's real hard to see it's actually impossible to see the big picture while you're in it.
Yeah,
but looking back, you're like, wow. Well, I mean, if that hadn't happened, then this couldn't have happened.
Yeah, and not to demotivate, but to rather to give you more hope. Yeah, give more hope. Is the story doesn't even have to be about you.
No.
I mean, we have seen countless times throughout the Bible and in real life, like modern life, not real life, this is real, but in more modern life, where people have died. Like their story ends, and yet the legacy of what they held on to, whether it's their faith or hope or how God was using them, it continues past that. I mean, again, I'm talking about the 21 martyrs in 2015, where all they had to do was renounce Jesus, and they would have lived. I believe it was like an ISIS terrorist group.
Probably.
Yeah. All they had to do was renounce Jesus, and they would have lived. And they refused to. They feared God more than they feared
man.
Yeah. And their story...
Tune in next week for that.
Yeah. Their story, I mean, it came to an unfortunate end. They died. But their legacy, they became martyrs because of that. They became known as standing firm in the faith until death. Again, not to demotivate, but read the latter half of this book. We're promised that we're going to go through tough times. The end of times is really, really tough times. But we're supposed to stay strong through that. People like to manipulate the verse where it says, he that, I think it's Matthew 24.
He that endures
To the end shall be saved. And they're like, well, you have to, otherwise you'll lose your salvation. No. My faith shows that I will stay strong in the faith till the end. And if your faith is not to that point, get it.
You endure because you are.
Yes. It's something that produces from salvation. So if your life is, first, if you're not saved, you got to get that right. You got to accept Jesus Christ and let the Holy Spirit live within you. That's the first step. But from that, you have the ability to produce this. I believe it's in Nehemiah. It says, the joy of the Lord is my strength.
Yeah.
You want strength? Make the Lord joyful. Read your Bible. Study His commandments. Fear God. We talked about in the purpose episode. That's the whole duty, is to fear God and to keep His commandments.
Yep.
And you're going to draw strength from that.
I think Paul wraps it up probably better than I can. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, and to them who are the called according to His purpose." So, I think that says what it says.
Yep.
Where's God at when everything's falling apart? He's right there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He never
It's
left.
happening for a reason.
Yeah.
May not see it now, but you'll see it someday.
Just because He's maybe silent in your life at the moment doesn't mean He's not there. I heard said before that the teacher doesn't talk during the test.
No, he doesn't.
So you might be going through a test right now. You don't expect to, hey, it's distracting. He's wanting you to stay focused on what's ahead of you, and that is, hopefully, if you're following Him, that's His will for you. That's the plan.
Maybe it's because someone watches your behavior and, hey, how are you doing that?
We
Maybe
talked
you can
about
be a
ripples.
witness that way.
But you might be going through all this. Again, Joseph, always say this, but this happened thousands of years ago, and we're still using it today. So Joseph's story, again, I don't think his first reaction was some guy 4,000 years later is going to use this to help lead someone to the Lord or help endure through struggles.
You know, maybe not everybody can relate to Joseph, but I mean, if, you know, he went through that terrible of a thing, you know, most of what we go through is nowhere near that. So it's, you know, easy by comparison. We can get through it. Obviously, some people that they're going through Joseph level, but remember, there's an end. There's the end of the tunnel, and you know, God's there for a reason.
This fleshly life is temporary. There is a promise and a guarantee on the other side of it. You might experience some of that promise and guarantee while you're on this life, while you're on this earth, but it's a guaranteed end that is going to be great and prosperous if you just accept Jesus and follow what he tells you. So that being said, through the hard times, he's still there. Don't act like he's not. Again, I think that's where that lack of faith comes in, is when you say God's not there. That faith needs to be strong. You need to be able to walk on water through it, even when it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Hey, Joseph went from a slave to a king, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
he can do
anything's possible.
Yeah. But that being said, I think it's my turn to pray.
Yes, it is.
All right. Heavenly Father, thank you for being with us today, Lord. Help us to open our hearts, both us and people behind the screen, to your message, Lord. Help us to stay faithful to you, Lord, just like Joseph did, where we truly cling to you and don't hold on to what we know or what we think, but to the promise that you give us, Lord. Lord, I ask that there's anyone that is not in their life where they should be with you, that they get it right, Lord. If they're not saved, that they come to accept you before it's too late, Lord. I ask that you forgive me my sins and the ways that I've failed to do this in my own life and cling to you. I ask all this in Jesus' holy name I pray. Amen. Like, subscribe, and see you next Tuesday.
Howdy, Mom.